Been a long couple of days, not gonna lie, with all of this.
I know. All this stuff. We've got the tournament tomorrow. with a lot of stuff we're still
I know. The tournament chaos
getting completed.
putting together. Well, I mean that's normal, you know. It's normal with the big events, but at least we kind of know what we're doing with this, sort of. Maybe a tad, mildly.
We'll see.
We'll see. We can find out right now if you're cool with it.
I'm good, man.
Cool. All right, let's figure this out as we go, and welcome everyone in and say welcome. Welcome on in, folks, to the Snap Back podcast, where you snap and we snap back. My name is ItsGuestGaming, but please just call me Guest. As you know, that is the bearded friend, my boy, Default Dan. What's going on, good sir? Good morning. How you doing?
Morning. Doing good, man. Doing good. Like you said, we had a really busy week. A lot of stuff going on, not just in Snap, but life in general. So doing good though, man. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about all this stuff because there is a lot to go through.
Yeah, that's a polite way to word it. I mean, you know, we're talking about probably in the last 48 hours, the most packed 48 hours of changes that have happened.
Yeah.
And I speak that even more so with this change than Conquest Mode, you know, because the big announcement of Conquest Mode was great.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been hyping up for it in different ways because it's a new thing, a new way to interact with the game. And now this is a whole nother conversation because this is affecting players at all levels and will affect not just the battle portion of how you interact with the game, but one of the most important aspects of the game, collecting cards. We have a full update version podcast for our listeners and viewers today. We're going to be talking about not just the OTAs that just came on out, but more specifically, and spending a lot of time diving into the brand new card acquisition system, also known as Spotlight caches. Because I don't know about you, but I have been spending way too much time trying to digest all of this.
Yeah, and
it's a lot.
And the thing is, they've been hinting at this for a while, and they've been slowly making changes. And so the frustrating part at times was us being in the creator program. We had insight on some stuff, right? And we got all of this dropped on us too. But like, you know, they would make one little change, and everybody's like, "Oh, so this is what they were talking about, the card acquisition change." And we're like, because we can't say anything, we're like, "No, it's not it." There is something else coming, even if we didn't know exactly what it was. We're just like, we know that's not the actual change, but there's certain things we can and can't say, and so it's difficult because it's like they've slowly worked towards this with the shop changes and how they're featuring cards and different things there. They made some changes that people maybe didn't like the Series 4 cards being stuck in Series 4, which as we go through this new change, it may make sense, and it may be something that you wanted to happen depending on, you know, how it goes. So there's a lot of little things, and I know we're going to jump into the notes, and as we break this down, just like with every decision, there's going to be some goods, there's going to be some bads, and we're just going to kind of break through those and, you know, give our opinions around it, right?
Yeah, and I just want to spin one particular thing off of what you said too, which is talking about the creator program. You know, it's absolutely fantastic that Second Dinner, one, has one, because we've been in communities that haven't. Two, really do love and respect the feedback from the content creator community that have been accepted into the program. And they trust us very much so for feedback, for conversation, and we have a great forum for us to also communicate amongst each other. So I want to make something very clear to the public when it comes to that. Yes, and it's public knowledge at this point because it's even on the application website. At times, content creators are aware of certain pieces of information ahead of time, not drastically ahead of time, but sometimes it might be just a few hours, literally. It's just like, hey, by the way, this is dropping. or, hey, by the way, this change might come down if you want to get ready for some content. That's it. And it's not a big, oh my God, they've known about this for weeks. So I want to first off throw that out there to the community so they understand that it's not like we've known about this since April and we've all kept our mouths shut. No. Okay. Secondly, as being a part of the creator program, part of our responsibility is to give that feedback to the devs. So we've had these conversations of, oh, you're rolling this out. That's great. I have a question about it. So that way we can give you the most accurate feedback on it as well. That, look, there's only so much that the devs are able to answer, and there's only so many different avenues that the devs will also be able to communicate through for a variety of different reasons, some of them including legal. And even still, we try to extrapolate as much of that information because we're also the avenue from you. So when you have questions about things that are going on, yes, there are ways you can answer in the ask the question in the team answers location on Discord, for example. But we try to do the best we can to be a voice for the community, and they try to voice to the community very often through us. So when these changes came down, I want it to be known that it's not like we've known about this for weeks. We got the knowledge. We all started to communicate with each other slightly about some of what was going on and had a forum to ask questions so we could get deeper pieces of information, deeper dive answers, which is what we're also going to talk about today. So this isn't just reviewing what Spotlight Caches is. This is also looking at some of the questions that are going to arise, because there's going to be a lot. And let's just kind of dive into it, because a lot of them are going to pop up as we go, because Spotlight Caches are going to completely transform everything you do when it comes to thinking about how you're going to get new cards. What you think you knew, just completely toss it out the window. It's gone. And I don't know if that's yet a good thing or a bad thing, because we're so accustomed to it for the last however many months, depending on if you're including beta or not. But now we're in this position of, okay, let's start again. Let's fully reset and start again. So let's look at, what are Spotlight Caches themselves? Okay, so it's a whole new system, right? It's basically taking the idea of what we think about for the collection track right now. We all know it's public knowledge, from Second Dinner, from our own research, over at Snap.fan, looking at the maths and yada yadas. If you go up the collection track, you know that every group of 4 has certain things in it. You know that one of them is going to be a reserve or a cache, depending on how far you are in the track. And that's going to be a Series 3 card. And 1 out of 10 of those is going to be a Series 4 card. Collect a lot of gold, credits, cosmetics, etc. And then progressively, you have a whole bunch of those that you also then can spend all of those, 200 to 600 collector's tokens that you get every 4 caches, or another 100 if you're Series 3 complete. You could throw that in there too. And then you could use that to buy your Series 4 or 5 releases out of the store. Parts of that still exist, but a lot of that is completely different, because now with the Spotlight Caches, 1 in every 10 of those caches will now be this purple version of the Spotlight Cache. So in the same group of 40, you'll get 4 of these, and you just kind of hang on to them. And I love that they're also visually different, so it's not random. Big win right there. big win, in my opinion, that specific piece of it, that you have these Spotlight Caches and you can save them to get specific chances. Don't freak out yet. Chances at cards. Okay. So say you save 4 of them, same group of 40, which you can do over the span of a month. And in that group of 40, the way it breaks down is you have the new card of that current week in which you are looking to unlock or open those Spotlight Caches. You then have 2 featured Series 4 and 5 cards in that specific collection of 4, plus a random Series 4 or 5 card. So no matter what, a Spotlight Cache is going to be Series 4 or 5 cards.
And
from there, everything. Sorry, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, and this is important, and I want to kind of point this out. Like you mentioned, this is every 10. So currently, going back to what you were saying, when we open the collector level tracks, like a lot of us, we track when are we going to get that next series 4, because right now they're 1 in 40, and it isn't each cache has 1 in 40. If you guys don't know, they're in blocks of 40. So literally, you may go 79, 78 caches in between opening 2 different series 4 cards today. Like that's how it works. So now we're going from having 1 every 40 to literally 4 every 40 of series 4 and 5 cards, including the brand new card that just dropped. So you're guaranteed in those 40, one of those. So within those 4, one of those is the brand new card. So this is pretty huge as far as acquisition of cards, getting these cards, and being able to know where you're getting them rather than this super randomized 1 in 40 block. And I still swear you can't open a series 5 card on the collection track. I counted it, and like I've literally opened 5, like it was 600 or 700. I said the number in the creator chat, but like literally I've opened over 600 caches and still have not hit a series 5 card. So I'm on board for this card acquisition change because of that.
Yeah, I mean, the random 0.25% chance to open a Series 5 card on the current system in the collection track, like, little tiny bit. You know, I'll still forever, you know, especially post these changes, I'll still forever be able to hold that over you that I opened 2 of them that way and you opened nada. So I'm okay with that. That's fine. But in the current system, this really benefits a lot of very specific groups of people. And there are, let's be honest here, there are some groups of people that are going to actually get hurt by this system, just a tad. But I'd say probably 90 to 95% of people who play this game should be ecstatic at this system because per month, you're going to have the access to, depending on where you are in your progression, 2, 3, or 4, even 5 potentially different series 4 and 5 cards coming into your collection, because it is something that is kind of worth noting in the system, which is understanding what we define as a collection and what Second Dinner defines as a collection. So we'll get to that too. With that said, you know, with the system, as we were saying, so you have, let's say you have 4 of those that you've saved up, again, over a group of 40 caches, which is the same amount. There are no spotlight reserves versus spotlight caches like there currently are over collection level 500, over 1,000, etc. No, now it's from 500 up. Immediately you start this because it works out the same system the same way, where you're going to progress up, and every 10 of these you get a spotlight cache, which means players who are at collection level 600, 500, 600, whatever it is, by the time they get to their first spotlight cache, will then have a chance at series 4 and 5 cards, which is also a huge win for newer players coming into the game as well. That's a big one that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. And with that group, now the way the group breaks down is, you know, we said, you know, every group of 4 right now is your same consistent thing. It's you have your series 3 card, you have your tokens, and you have your credits, right? That's kind of what it is. Now it's completely changing, completely changing, because now after that collection level 1,000, you're going to end up getting 2 series 3 cards for every 9. This is every group of 9 besides the spotlight cache. You have 2 series 3 cards, 100 tokens, 300 credits. 3 credit boxes that are either 150 or 200 credits, and then 3 cosmetics. So there are some things I also didn't say, which we'll get to. But I just want to showcase a couple of things with here. This actual system itself, as I scroll back on the video side and I go back to this specific graphic, which make sure for anybody and everybody who's watching at home, if you are looking at these graphics, just make sure that you see the one that talks specifically about in the new system. Make sure it says 400 tokens and 4,000 credits down on the very bottom. And then for a series 3 complete, 800 tokens and 4,000 credits if you are Series 3 complete, with about a 50% Series 4 or 5 completion rate, which is where I'd like to think a lot of people are. So make sure you see that. If you see any other numbers, please know that's a mistake, but I want to put that out publicly too.
Yeah.
So the new system is going to get more people Series 4 and 5 cards prior to potentially being Series 3 complete. So that mixture of your collection is very important to highlight. The amount of variants that will come from this are also important to highlight, because let's say in that group of 4, you have the other cards. Let's say you end up having, and they have a great example here, which I got to say, I love these graphics that they've created for this. I absolutely love these graphics. Simple. I think they're, it's super clean. Like, I was thinking about making a video kind of sort of in this direction of like showcasing, here's this, okay, here's this chance, etc. I mean, this is as clean and clear as we could ever ask for it to be.
What I love about this is the fact that, like, as creators, and the fact that we're all on that channel, I feel like, especially when they kind of were talking about this yesterday, everybody was kind of like, all right, well, does that mean this or does that mean that, right? And so the problem that we have is we all hear stuff slightly different, and we're all going to make our graphics and our videos based on how we heard it. And so I really love that they took the time to put this together to be like, hey, here it is. So it's like, it's super easy. It's clean. Everybody has the same stuff. Whether people make their own graphics, that's totally fine. But now we have a base, and it's not just how you read that message in text.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So. And it's just one of those consistency pieces. And that's why we use these images on Snap.fan as well, because they're clean and consistent. And they're on brand. So let's dive into it a bit with those variants, like I was talking about with this, where, say, in the example they have up here, they're using Jean Grey, which is also a fun little shiny thing that they've used Jean Grey in all of these graphics, even though she's not released yet. So that's a big smile, and semi-confirms some data mines, and that's a good sidebar for another topic. It shows Jean Grey as the new series card. Then there's a 25% chance for currently existing Series 4 or 5 cards. They use Null and Living Tribunal as the 2 that they have selected. And it has been told to us that they will be announced ahead of time. So you'll know, oh, this week, so-and-so new card is coming out. The 2 featured cards of that week are going to be blank and blank. In the example they have here, it's Null and Living Tribunal. And then the 4th one is a random Series 4 and 5 card. So whatever it ends up being, which can include big bads. These will feature big bads in them, people. This is how you will have a chance to also unlock big bads on the collection track without needing 6,000 collector tokens. So let that be a big feature to highlight and smile about too, because they're all being treated exactly the same. So with those variants, say you have Null and you have Living Tribunal, or you open the random one and it's a Series 4 or 5 card that you already have. It's going to be replaced with a variant of that exact card that doesn't exist anywhere else right now. All of the replacement variants for Series 4 and 5 cards in this system are brand new variants, and the only way to get them will be in the week in which you see them here.
Caveat.
I love this.
Caveat, because I had to confirm this. That is correct. That this is the only way you can get that variant that you're seeing for now. So before people freak out, because I know the FOMO and all of that, they will come. They will come to the shop at some point. We did get confirmation of that, but they said it will be a while. So this could mean 2 months. This could mean 8 months, right? So just be aware when you're looking at these variants, if you see, because it should also show us what that variant is my imagine. Like, I imagine it's going to also see at some level of that. So just be aware that if it's a variant you really want, maybe you want to use your tokens to purchase that card, or maybe you want to make sure you get all 4 caches if you haven't opened it, right? Or whatever. But just keep that in mind. They will finally come to the shop at some point. But yeah, so if you already have the card, they get replaced. So people with full collections realistically, you've got 4 of these spotlight caches, and 3 of those are going to be variants. So,
right, 3 featured variants, and here's another caveat to that.
Yeah.
There's a new type of variant that they are premiering with this system too, which is called a premium mystery variant. It's a gold variant question mark card, which you'll see in some of the graphics. And that gold premium mystery variant is basically a premium variant that is guaranteed to not be a pixel.
I know.
And it's the simplest little update to an awesome thing, because it's let's be honest, it's kind of almost a Marvel Snap meme at this point of, okay, let's open up the rewards from the thing. Is it a pixel or not? Like, I even do that on my own stream. Like, we bet our guest coins, the little Twitch reward system thing, prediction style. Okay, yes or no, am I pulling a pixel or not on this variant? Because the chance is just so high to do so. This will not be, you're going to get pixel null and then just absolutely hate the fact that you used your spotlight variant. I mean, sorry, spotlight cache to get, no, not the case. Not the case. It's a brand new system to help ensure that, specifically because of the love and hatred that are also associated with pixels. And in a way, I guess Second Dinner is kind of admitting, pixels may not be the best.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they pick. If it's going to be like, these are the 3 variants. One's a Dan Hip, one's a Luca or whatever. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how they select them, or I don't know, maybe it's like a brand new artist or something like that they're bringing in specifically here. So,
yeah, with these variants here specifically, they are going to be new releases,
right?
Which is a good and bad thing, because look, Series 4 and 5 cards are great, and we use our resources to get them, to unlock them currently with the collector's tokens. Not as many people. I mean, granted, let's please exclude Super Tech God from this conversation. Okay.
And 617, you can't exclude those guys that have every single card variant.
Yes. Okay. Push them to the side. All 6 of them that exist in the world. Okay. Push them to the side for a second. That these cool, epic, exclusive variants that are going in here, they're going to be replaced, and technically, based on the way this system works, is since you've opened 4 spotlight caches in that week, as you can see in the imagery, it's then going to be replaced by 4 variants in that moment. If they really like, let's say, null, they could open an ungodly amount of spotlight caches to get all the exclusive variants of null simultaneously too.
Well, I think there's only so now I have one more question to ask them.
They are replaced over and over spotlight variants in a new reward pool right there.
But what I'm saying is that just means that it's 4 caches, 4 spotlight caches. You finish those 4, you get 4 new ones, which are these variants.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is it's not like there's like 3 spotlight variant nulls cards. There's only 1 that's coming in. So like I'm pretty sure we need to confirm that, or what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a randomized
mystery
variant. So I don't think there is. I think you're going to have.
Yeah, no, it's not randomized. They've made that very clear.
Right.
But let's also be honest here,
you're just going to get the 1.
There's very little want to do that.
I know,
but technically it could happen. Yeah. But people aren't that crazy. You find 1 or 2 awesome variants you like, and then maybe you cycle between them. But
yeah. I'm just saying there's only one special, right? I'm just saying there's only 1 special variant for each card, where they're not creating multiple special variants for each card. So
again,
no, because if they did, then
go look on Snap.fan and look at all the variants that are currently in the system that are unreleased,
but that's not how the spotlight's going to work. The spotlight is going to give you 1 special variant. If not, then that means when in that group of 4, and then the next version, it's another group of 4. You're not going to be able to get the same variant twice. Right. But what I'm saying is I can't. So like week 1, right? Week 1, if I have 12 spotlight caches, if I open my first 4, I'm guaranteed to get those 4 cards. Then my next 4 get generated, which are the spotlight variants. If I get all of those and I go to open the next one, it's not going to give me a brand new variant of another
This
spotlight
is where
variant.
I keep going.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm gonna get confirmation on that. But
Molly, Glenn, where are you? No.
If there were, then
Come
that
on
means.
out.
If there were, then that means when you open your second four, so your variant four, there is 2 null variants, and you may get one or the other, which is not how this is worded or set up. So no,
I disagree. But
all right,
we'll confirm that, and we'll bring it back because it's fun. But outside of that little indiscretion here that we are discovering live while recording, and everyone's now listening to us argue, and that's fine.
It's a question nobody asked.
The other piece to this.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody asked, and we're realizing it while we're talking about it live. Like, for those who really like one specific card, but whatever.
Yeah.
Moving on past that, right? So the whole system completely has changed when it comes to being able to track your cards, because there is going to be a UI to let you know, hey, you'll be able to see your spotlight caches. Yes, you've checked this off. You ticked this off. And one of the things I want to articulate too, and they put it very clearly in their graphic as well, is that every card has the same % chance to be unlocked. It's not one of those, it's an increased chance on the featured card of the week and then a decreased chance on the random card. All 4 of them are a flat 25% chance when it's the first 4, 1 in 4. And then when it progresses on, it's a flat and even 1/3 of a chance to get one of the other 3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this is something that I do want to talk about just a tad, because what's going to end up happening in the community, and I'm going to try to, nip a little bit of it in the bud, which is they're going to go for the system and then they don't pull the new card the very first time, or it takes them 4 caches because that's just the luck percentage chance to make that happen that moment of, okay, I could pull it on the first one, or I could pull it on the second, third, or fourth one, right?
Yeah.
So please understand this, okay? It is very unlikely in all of the scenarios to have it be the 4th spotlight cache that you pull. Very unlikely. It can happen, but it is unlikely because you have a 25% chance to do so. Right. It's a 1 in 4 right now. Yeah. So the first 1 in 4 is a 1 in 4 to get it. So it's the most reduced chance out of all of them. And then, of course, now it's a 1 in 3 chance, and then it moves to a 1 in 2. So your odds increase, obviously, progressively. Yeah. But if you look at the full scope of opportunity, you still have the smallest % chance to have to use 4 spotlight caches to get the new card of that week, which means more often than not, we're using less progression on the collection track to get a new card every single week if we want to, because it's going to be a little bit inconsistent, which is what I think they're talking about when it comes to the variety of cards, where this is where you're going to hear a very big difference between content creators who are focused on benefiting the community and content creators who are focused on their account. And I'm going to call this out personally right now. I'm not going to say any names, of course, because I'm not that guy, but I want the community to listen to their content creators and listen to one very specific fact, that if you are someone who is at a nearly full or full collection and you're looking to unlock the card every single week, it is a lot more difficult now because of that random chance in there to get that new card every week, because you only get these spotlight caches 1 in every 10 on the progression track, because Second Dinner with this whole system is moving to a system of unlocking cards because you've progressed up the collection track. You've upgraded cards, you've saved your spotlight caches. Maybe there's a featured one that you want, kind of similar to what we do in the token shop to a degree now. It's like, ooh, am I going to buy the Living Tribunal or not? Am I going to unlock my spotlight caches for my chance to get Jean Grey or not? That's what they're just shifting the market in which you make your decisions, not the fact of can you make a decision. But if you do choose to pull the trigger, that's important to understand that.
And to clarify that too, the shop isn't going away. So like so many people are going to focus on the fact that like, oh, now I got to open caches to get these things. The shop's not going away. Tokens are not going away. So you can still purchase your Series 3, 4, and Spotlight cards as you're going through. This is just another means. And to your point, yes, this is going to overall get you the cards faster and cheaper. I'm going to air quote this cheaper because of the fact that, you know, currently, if you weren't buying them with tokens, you're having to, like a Series 4 card, you're having to open 40 caches. Somewhere in there, you're having to open 40 caches. Because even if you get it after 4 caches, you're not getting your next Series 4 until 36 later before you know, hit your next block, and then in somewhere in that block. So you are going to be getting them faster, because if you hit this on the second one, now the next time you may hit on the first one. And now you've gotten 2 Series 4 or 5 cards like that quick. So yes, overall, you're going to be hitting them faster. You're going to be hitting them easier, but you still get tokens. You still get to use the shop to where maybe you open 2 of them and you said, all right, I don't want to open 2 more. I'm just going to go ahead and purchase this featured card. And next week we'll do that. So we'll talk about rollover in just a minute, but you know, just wanted to kind of throw that out there as we're going through.
It's true. It's true, because if you are someone who has, let's say, your Series 3 complete, you know, and, you know, you've been playing the game a while, you know, free to play or not, irrelevant.
Yeah.
You've been playing the game a while and you have a bunch of Series 4 cards that you've unlocked and a bunch of Series 5 cards that you've unlocked, you know, because cards have dropped from Series 5 to 4 to 3 progressively. So you've gotten them over time. Mm-hmm. So let's say you've got, like, you know, 5 or 6 that you're missing. I think that's a fair tally for someone who's been playing a long time in the game. And there is a lot of people, a large majority of players have been playing since October, December, you know, somewhere in that range, right? And you're only missing a few. The first couple of weeks is going to be great because you're going to continue to learn this system and you're going to adjust to it. But the biggest change in here is understanding why in the old system we had, on average per month, about 5,000 tokens that you'd get from the collection track and 800 gold from the collection track.
Yeah.
To now moving to having gold completely gone from the collection track and tokens being reduced by like 80%. Like you're not even going to get in the collection track anymore up to, you know, on a free-to-play system, you know, as they articulate here, it's around 800 tokens, give or take, you know, because sometimes it depends on where you are. Every single month, it might be more, it might be less, but, you know, you were around 5,000 and now you're getting around 800. And that's what's going to be the sticker shock for a lot of people, is they're going to say, wait a minute, I can't get my card anymore. No, it's not the fact that you can't get the card anymore. It's the fact that you have to look at your market and your economy completely differently. You went from having cash to having credit cards. You know, they're 2 completely different forms of currency, but they do the exact same thing. You just have to look into a different part. You know, you have to understand that.
Yeah. And the other thing we have to also remember when we talk about the overhaul of the economy, the overhaul of card acquisition, we also have weekend missions to get tokens. So the idea is, remember, you have this, which, again, didn't fire last weekend for most people, but hopefully moving forward it is. I mean, there is the whole thing that once you open the cache to get the brand new card, there is a mission to use that card and get tokens. So you kind of get a refund. And again, if you're doing this on the collection level, it's free tokens now. It's not a refund like it would have been last weekend. So there are other avenues. And yes, the rest of the avenues are probably pay to win with, you know, purchasing a bundle or using your gold that now you're not getting gold. So I don't know how you do that, but, you know, you're purchasing your bundles, you know, to get tokens and stuff. So again, I don't want to focus too much on the pay to win aspect of those particular buying a bundle, but it is one of those things where there are other avenues now to also get tokens. And I think that when you look at the overall, they figured that in. So when people look at this and they go, they took away our tokens, remember, they also added this weekly or weekend mission to get some tokens, right? To try to help with that a little bit.
You may not want to talk about it, but I do a tad, which is the removal of the gold. Yeah. You know, talking about the golden tokens, because they're 2 very different conversations that people are going to talk about at length, which is, you know, from the token side, what tokens are valued at has now completely been changed as well. Tokens are a premium currency. And by premium, I don't mean more expensive out of your wallet. I'm talking about the way that you acquire them is in much more limited locations because the need to use them is much more limited. You can spend premium ways like gold and dollars or whatever your local currency is to obtain tokens through, you know, bundles and packs, because let's be honest here, they're a game company. They have to make money. They have options. They have to have those avenues that those who want to spend money in the game, they can do so for those purposes. So that's always going to exist in some manner. And according to data mines, it looks like that is still going to be the case in the next couple of months anyway, but that's obviously not confirmed. Everything is always subject to change. With that said, the gold conversation is one that I think is very intriguing. Because the removal of the gold from the collection track for a free-to-play player, and now looking at the weekend missions where you can get gold by using the season pass card, I think is a big, big shout out to what gold is valued at. Because as of right now, people have the luxury of going up the collection track, getting gold potentially 1 in every 4, current, collector caches at the moment. And then they can bank all of that. And then eventually go ahead and blow all that to get a pack that they want. They can get a variant pack, they can get a collector's token, they can get a token Tuesday. They can, that whole mentality of what gold is worth is completely changed, because I guess the big downside I see from this system, from the gold aspect, is it looks like non-series 4 and 5 variants are going to be much more premium in this system. That if you want a new, Quake variant that pops up in your shop, getting gold is harder. It is now straight outright purchase to get that variant for that version, because yes, you can get it via the collection track at random, but targeting it, you didn't get gold in the collection track in one of those random collection reserves or caches. Now it's all you get are random variants, or cosmetics, I should say, because it just labels it as cosmetics. So random cosmetics, some credits. There's no collector's tokens. So in that aspect, I think Second Dinner has made gold more premium and changed the value of what gold is to help it also incentivize our community to look at the season pass differently. The value of the season pass changes because of this as well, because now getting the season pass every single month gets you access to more gold on top of it. And I mean, the way I look at it personally is, if you get a season pass for this game, battle pass, season pass, whatever you want to call it, every single person uses a different term. I don't understand why, but if you want to get that pass for that month, think of it as like a Netflix subscription. If you spend an hour a day playing this game for fun, or even a half hour a day, that's 15 hours a month. If you spend $10 on it to get the cool fun card, early access, you get some extra variants and some extra rewards because of it. And then you have this whole new gate for now more gold. I personally don't see that as like outside of the free-to-play world. Personally, I don't see getting the season passes outside of free-to-play. I consider it like free-to-play up to $10 a month.
It depends. You have to.
And I don't work for Second Dinner, to shut up all the commentators in the background. Hang on, I'm gonna throw that out there too. I don't work for Second Dinner. Okay, I'm talking about just personal enjoyment of what I value entertainment at, because I know what I spend for Disney Plus. I know what I spend for Apple Music or every other type of system I want to label out there. $10 a month for a game I play hours on end. I'm willing to do that.
Well, and again, I think it's one of those things, and this is a whole sidebar, but essentially, when we think of free to play, you also have to remember ages and things like that too. So like the 13-year-old, the 13-year-old that doesn't have a job, that's, asking their mom for $10 for a game, whatever. So I do understand
Be
that.
The cool mom.
But I understand that aspect of it too, of like, if you're one of those where you're not adults like we are, and we have like, oh, it's $10, whatever, that was a McDonald's trip, so like it's one of those things where we totally get it. And so we also understand it from a free to play that this does hurt. And I know you mentioned the Quake variant or whatever variant, right? I don't really look at it. When I think of gold now, so if you would have asked me this 6 months ago, gold was variants. There's no point of getting a variant. It's all cosmetic. It just makes your stuff look different. So variants are kind of trash in a way because of the fact that you're saying I'm spending $5, $10, whatever on this variant because of the gold. But now we have packs. Now we have bundles. We have things that gold, like some of these bundles are 3,000 gold, and up. And so I feel like for the free to play player, they were really looking at, okay, I'm going to bank gold for 2 months or a month or whatever. And I'm going to use that 2,000 gold. I'm going to use that 3,000 gold to get this brand new bundle that's coming out that's going to give me credits and tokens and, cosmetics. And again, just like when you're going to Snap.fan, you can see the value in each of these bundles. And some of these gold bundles, the value is really, really good. So I am concerned that gold now has been taken away from one area, not for concern for the people that want to go and get that brand new Venomized variant, but I'm concerned for the free to play that was kind of using that to get the equivalent of spending $20 on a bundle without spending a dime, right? So like that's the aspect that I'm a little worried about. I want to see it in action. I want to see and kind of calculate over the next month, how much gold do I get over that month without making a purchase, without doing whatever, you know what I mean? Like, because there are bundles that if you spend money, you get gold. Like, I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about as you go through, did I make 1,000 gold this month, right? Did I make 200 gold this month? Because if I make 200 gold this month after the changes, we've got a problem to the free to play community, because 200 gold a month is not going to be it. And I take myself, because I'm not a grinder. Yes, I'm a content creator. I stream and I do that. But like, I play 30 minutes a day on average outside of my streams, which now with the streams, we have the podcast, we have Marvel Scrap. Yeah. There's days that I play.
Wednesday night snap.
But it's not like I'm playing on stream 8 hours a day like some of the other streamers that are grinding season pass to level, 150 or 200. I get level 60 or 70 on the season pass. So I would say I feel like as far as my play is, I'm the average player, right? So
for the season, season pass goal, just so you're aware, as of right now, if they keep it as it's supposed to be, if you use the season pass card for these weekend missions, it's projected at 150 gold for completing the mission, which means, let's say it's a standard 4-week season, that's only 600 gold a month, but it's still 600 gold a month. If that's the case, and that's the only way to get gold, because if you don't get the season pass, you have the weekend mission, which gets you credits, right? If you have the season pass, you get the weekend mission that gets you gold. And if you have the new card, you have the access to get collector's tokens. So in a very weird backwards way, they just, I hate to say it, but they just want people being excited about the Series 4 and 5 cards and expanding that part of the collection, the new version of your Series 4 and 5s. But I think the big loser in this is Series 3 variants. I think Series 3 variants are very much so going to go the wayward side, because it's all about the new shiny things.
Well, and I think
you'll get them at random.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what it is, right? I think it's this push of, and they've kind of mentioned it through their notes and their stuff like that. Like, they want to go back to the old Snap days. And the old Snap days was the enjoyment and the excitement of opening caches. So I am in that 1% or whatever you want to call it, in the fact that I have a full collection. I'm not variant complete by any way, but I have a full collection. And every time this rolls around, I literally I just save up my caches, and then I open 30 or 40 at a time when I'm bored, essentially, because the only new card is that new card hitting the track. And up until this month, that new card was always Series 5, and I can't open a Series 5. So the only way I ever opened caches was a series drop and a card that I didn't want to get, like a Dazzler or whatever, right? That I couldn't justify the 6,000 tokens on. The only time I opened caches was when those dropped to Series 4. And I said, all right, I'm going to open 40 caches, guarantee myself this one card, and then move on. So I think that this is really, and it's a great move in that area of pushing people to open caches, pushing people to use credits to upgrade cards, and really get back to the first days of Snap, where we were so excited to go up that collection level, open caches, see what we're going to get, because we knew we were going to get something. Whereas over the last couple months, there is a portion of the population that are Series 3, Series 4, Series 5 complete, where literally we have nothing to open. So why would we open them? Outside of variant rushes, which they also saw the same thing of cache hoarding for variant rushes, so they got rid of it. So I think this is another one of those avenues to get rid of cache hoarding, which is great. But again, here's my suggestion. If we're not going to get gold anywhere else, and we're only going to get 600 gold, plus, I mean, we do have the ranked rewards on ladder that gives us
with
gold.
The season pass
we do
only,
have,
right?
yeah. So we do have some areas to get it. But if I can only get, let's say 2,000 gold a month, and I think that may be more than what you get, but I'd have to go back on the season pass to see what you get, plus your ranked rewards, plus this weekend pass. But if I can only get that, then my suggestion is if I can't randomly get it to where I could like push this either collection level or season pass random reserves once you get over 50, then they need to get rid of the bundles that cost gold. And that is probably something everybody is going to throw their arms up in and all of that. But if they're already pretty much making it to where you need to buy gold for cash to do this bundle, they need to get rid of that, because that's going to make free-to-play players feel like I can save up my gold and do this. But then when they realize it's going to take them 3 months to get that 6,000 gold, bundle or whatever it is, they're going to feel even worse.
I'll spin off of the idea and say, if they're going to do bundles for gold, it should be up to a cap of like a 2,000 gold, cap, because the bundles, like you said, that are 8,000, 6,000, 5,000 gold. If the only way you can get gold is, like conquest rewards, for example, you can get gold in there for a free-to-play player. Yeah. But grinding like all hell, obviously, because of how conquest runs. Like there's so much opportunity there for understanding, okay, you can spend gold, sure. But a free-to-play player, how can you get gold? Oh, well, I can get 800 a month, and then I can get it through this avenue, and then I can have an increased chance at this, and da-da-da. And now it's like pennies equivocally. Yeah. So if you're going to make a bundle and value it at gold at a certain, exchange of, dollars to gold versus now the exchange of how often you get it in the game, I'm with you on the fact that some of the future bundles need to be converted into just straight up dollars and let them be, look, if you want a bundle, it's this cost. Yeah. But if you are going to put a gold bundle in there, make it actually attainable, because I don't think, to your point, I don't think that some of it makes sense to have at certain crazy high amounts of gold, because people hoard caches. I don't think they're hoarding gold into the 10,000 plus, level, unless if you're Ocean Mud, but like outside of him, like
unless you're a few of them, but I mean, I agree to you. I think at this point, if you look at that, it makes your gold value different. And if they continue to have these big gold bundles, it means nobody's buying a variant in the variant shop. So now you've killed your variant shop. So now your variants need to be credits.
Very true.
Right? Like your variants need to be credits and not gold, because nobody's going to use your gold on it if you're always only getting X thousand gold a month. And that every month we're releasing 2 bundles, 3 bundles that are gold based. And so it becomes difficult in that. And I get the reason why they use gold as well. Elephant in the room. They don't want bundles to continually be $99, $49. And somebody that's free to play or whatever looking at that going, which it's not, but they're going to look at it and go, oh, this is pay to win because there's always $100 and $50 bundles. It's not pay to win. It's a variant. It's some credits. This game is skill. Yes, it helps to have certain cards, but we've seen in tournaments, people have won tournaments with Series 3 complete decks, right? So, I got to get that out because I know there's so many people that say it's pay to win, and
it's not pay to win. It's pay to be shiny. That's it. It's not pay to win. This game in no way, shape, or form is pay to win. It is exclusively a collector game that then to even be good at, you have to play. And if anything, this system now incentivizes playing the game, because then you get the boosters to upgrade your cards, you know, which is one of the things about the economy in general I absolutely love, because if you want to do well and you want to get a full collection, you could buy all the credits you freaking want. That's fine. Have fun. Do you. But if you don't have the boosters to support it, you're not upgrading a damn thing. So I love that part of the system. And yes, I know there are very random ways you can get boosters, but
you know how you can now?
No.
Conquest. Conquest is the way to get boosters. You can get 105 for 100 medals or whatever it is.
One. No.
Well, that's what it is.
Of Green Goblin right now. Yeah.
Well, no. And week four, if you look at the bottom of the shop, there's a Green Goblin only.
Yeah, it's random.
And then there's a cheaper one that's the 100 and whatever. So,
it's true. It's true.
I love kind of that they're thinking about all of this stuff. And you know, as we kind of, you know, transition with, yes, we talked about there's good, bad, ugly. The ugly right now is the gold. Like the good is card acquisition, right? And then kind of the bad is you may not hit it on your first try. So, you know, kind of wrapping that piece up, just to kind of throw it out there. When you get your spotlights, you're going to get 4 caches. Those 4 caches are going to be one of the new ones, 2 that they've selected that you can see what they are, and then you get 1 random. If you have any of those cards, any of those 3, they're going to be instantly replaced with this brand new variant that they're coming out with, a premium variant. So if you open all 4, you're guaranteed to get that new card. But you may get it on the first one, you may get it on the third one, whatever. After you open up your 4, it resets. So it's not resetting as you open it. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. I know we've said it, but maybe not as clear. As you open the first one, that one's out. So now you have the 3 left. So it's one of those things where once all of these, it resets, I guess. If I need to also ask the question of currently completely collection complete. So if I open all 4, I get 3 variants, I get the new card. When I get my reset, is it literally just 1 cache with just the variant of that new card, or what Guest seems to think we're going to get is brand new variants as well. So we're going to get that confirmed. We'll let you guys know, update in a comment or something below, but we'll let you know on that. And then, you know, as we do that, the rollover. So I want to talk about that just a little bit, because we didn't touch on it yet before we get into variants. But if you decide, like, you open the first one as the brand new card and you don't care about variants, things like that, the question is what happens now? And there is rollover into the next week with the other new card coming out.
So when you're hold on.
Banked.
When you're talking about the rollover.
Yeah, the rollover bank. We kind of jumped over it and didn't hit it too much, but just want to make sure we talk about that real quick before we jump into, you know, new variants, OTA, all the rest of it there.
Yeah. So yeah, with the rollover that you're talking about in regards to like the reduction off of the system or the weekly reset of the system, because there's a lot of different versions.
The weekly reset. So essentially, you know, we get the caches, or even right now, right? Like here's the other thing to notice, which I guess once it goes live, people will notice. If you have a bunch of caches that are banked, you're going to instantly see, even retroactively, these spotlight caches are going to go into play. So the idea though is it will bank it and move on, which I guess another question would be, those premium variants you missed in week 1, I guess we wouldn't see them week 2.
No, because it's a whole new series of cards.
Only the week, yeah.
Only that specific week. There. Yeah. We have QA'd the QA'er.
Yeah.
And said, there you go. There's your answer. Yeah. But yeah, the spotlight caches, as it says here, and we have, and this is also on Snap.fan as well, a full dev QA of, you know, questions from the community asking more details about very specific aspects of the system, where it says, you know, if you open 2 caches in 1 week and then miss the new card twice, will you only need 2 more the next week to get the new card? Or does the pity reset kind of reset between the weeks? And the very clear answer is spotlight caches reset every week. So
Right.
every Spotlight Cache will start with 4 items in a brand new week. So if you only open 2 that week and you don't get Jean Grey, the following week, it will then refill back to 4 with the new card, 2 focused featured variants, and then the random, 2 focused featured series 4 or 5 cards, and then the random series 4 and 5 cards. So you can use your 2 chances that week and hope you get it, or you just wait until you have 4 and then say, this is the week I want to open it on. So those announcements ahead of time about knowing the progression of, okay, this week is Jean Grey, Null, and Living Tribunal. Next week is, it's not the case, but, Phoenix Force, Galactus, and Null also again, or Snow Guard, or Stegron, and whatever it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't repeat, but it will pop up in those moments to get those series 4 and 5 cards. And then the random, I guess, is the backup plan of you're hoping to get something that you have never gotten before.
I'm calling it now. The first week, Darkhawk will be in there. This will be there. This will be there. I'm sorry for keeping him at 4, but this is why we kept him at 4. Let's make the community happy. And if they don't do it, Second Dinner, I hope you're listening and you do it, because I really think if you want to get everybody excited, you need to throw Darkhawk into that first. It needs to be first week, but week 2. If not first week
2,
the uproar, and then he'll be in week 2. But
that's my guess. My guess is week 2, because this system will roll out, and people will go absolutely nuts for it, going, oh my God, like, this is all my caches that I've been saving. This is now what they're converted into. And this is how the system works now. And I asked this to the community as a content creator. Just give it a month. Okay.
I'd say give it 2 months.
Experience the system. My point is experience the system personally, because what we're doing right now, because our job as content creators is to analyze the system at front of what we see, ask questions, get answers, and then portray our opinions as well. So we're not news reporting, but we're news reporting with reaction.
Yeah.
Personal reaction. We have no favoritism. We have no, we're paid off by this, or, all the kind of BS thing. Oh, sorry, I got to say this out loud. # Marvel Snap creator. We're not paid to be positive, or we're not paid to suck the dick of Second Dinner. Okay. That's not how this goes. And no matter what people want to try to say, I'm sorry, that's not how this works. If my last sentence didn't tell you that, I don't know what else does. So let's get that clear.
Yeah. So
when we're talking about this system, and I this is what I kind of opened the whole conversation with it on, which is the understanding that 90% of the community is going to be very happy with this system, because they're going to see new cards and exclusive variants pop in there that couldn't have ever happened beforehand, potentially, for them, because of how the system works. On the other end of it, the 10% that are investing a lot of time and resources, or have been in the game, since beta, or have full collections or full variant collections, even for some people, like, that have a lot of cards into it, they might see the system as more restrictive to getting the new material. And I only invite this chaos of conversation to everyone by saying, please give the system a month, experience it, figure out your new version of how you spend in the economy, whether it's dollars, whether it's time, whether it's whatever it is for you, because everyone's definition of resource is different. It's not just the physical resources, it's sometimes time management and sanity, let's be honest. So when you're going through this, remember that you might have a lot if you're the vocal 10%, but the 90% that play this game that might not be as vocal as them, if that group is happier, I'm sorry. That's what Second Dinner is going to keep doing, because they're going to look at the majorities. They're going to look at the people that maybe don't have a voice, but they do have an account. They do, not everybody who plays Marvel Snap is watching this podcast, or watching another podcast, or watching a YouTube video, or listening to a live stream. Some people just download the game to play the damn game, and they don't care about anything else because, oh, look, it's a shiny card. I like card games. I don't care about content. If they want to, dive deeper into it, yeah, of course, we're here for you all. But not everybody does. And, you know, there's a reason that there's a title in there in the game that says I whine on the internet, because the vocal people are very vocal, very often, very, very often, including in our content creator community, just as much so. There are some very vocal people, positive and or negative.
Yeah.
So I just invite people to be understanding at the aspect of let the system exist before you dismiss.
Yeah. No, and I think it's just one of those, when I say give it 2 months, because there's going to be that person, and it will be me, that doesn't open the new card until the 4th cache. And we go, oh, this is no better because I'm still opening 40 caches. But yeah, I would agree. I think at this point, it's like, it's a new way of looking at how Marvel Snap is. And it's not this is your final answer. This game is always changing, always improving, and they're trying things out. And I think that this is an amazing first step when you look at everything they've done over the last month and a half of card acquisition, you know, whether it's from the brand new player to the series complete player. And again, I've got every card in the game at the moment, and I still see this as a positive, because I have a chance that in 8 to 10 or in every 10 or 20 caches, I could get the brand new card without having to spend a token. But still having my tokens to where maybe I open 2, which I'll probably open all 4. Just I want the variants too. But, you know, it's one of those things where I could use my tokens if I wanted to still purchase that card, you know, as I need be or something like that. So I think this is a great move. The gold, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to keep an open mind for now. I'm going to go through a month. I'm going to track how much gold do I actually get in that month based on the way I play. And then again, look at that. So I would agree with you. Give it a chance for yourself. There's going to be a lot of creators out there talking pros, negatives, good, bad, but let's just see what it looks like and keep in mind where you are in the game. Because if you're not Series 3 complete, if you're barely Series 3 complete, if you're just now getting into Series 4, this is going to be huge for your account. Whereas my account, I may sound negative. I doubt I will, but I may sound negative about the particular change, but I'm in a different situation than you are. I'm not getting 4 cards a week, or potentially 4 cards a week like you may be. So I think it's gonna be huge. And I'm excited. So to kind of like hint back as we're going through with the variants, I know we've talked a lot about these variants, but I'm excited about them, man. I'm glad that there's no pixels. Yeah. I'm really curious as to how good the art is. Because I think that this is, honestly, I think that this is we messed up with the ultimate variants. There's some people out there that have spent 5,000 tokens on them. And for each their own, but back, as we were set up beforehand, I couldn't justify tokens on variant art, compared to getting a new card.
Agreed.
So, I think this is their like, hey, sorry about that. here's these. So I am curious,
maybe.
So, well, I mean,
to a degree,
I can tell you this, when we were in New York with Creator Clash, some of the devs were there, and this is not the devs talking on behalf of Second Dinner. This is just us as people that play Marvel Snap talking. They kind of said that in the fact of like, yeah, it's one of those things we hope people would get the variants because they are awesome variants in there. And they noticed at that time, and again, this is months ago, a lot of people were just buying the cards. They weren't buying the variants. And, there's nuances. There's a lot of creators out there that would rather have the variant to show off because the card will eventually drop anyway, right? To your series drop, and you'll get them to a cache. So I think it's a different thing. It's not like those are going away either. I think it's a different thing, but I do like that they are also thinking about the fact that people don't like the randomization that's in the collector track. People don't like the fact that you're going to get, pixels or whatever. And they're going, hey, here's a new variant, no pixels, and it should be pretty good art, right? Like I can't imagine we're going to get some really janky looking, variants over here. So,
yeah. And there's one last piece I want to talk about that before we also move on to OTAs, which we'll touch briefly on because they're pretty fast. This whole adjustment, in my opinion, confirms the fact that the developer's definition of a collection is much more different than a good vocal majority of the community's definition of a collection. Most people define in the game, as players, define a collection as how many cards you have.
Yeah.
Second Dinner defines a collection, in my opinion, as how many variants you have.
Yeah.
Where you have the flexibility to have 6 or 7 different versions of Null, which is equivalent
you to like
psychologically to 6 or 7. Well, he's the one in the damn photo, okay? It's Second Dinner's imagery.
You're a Null
I'm
player.
being consistent. No, I'm not actually. My Galactus deck does not rock Null. Not at all. Not anymore.
I know. I'm just
not with all his changes, but you see what I'm saying though? Like their version of, and they say it in several different points also in the announcement too. I mean, the whole title of it, more cards for more players, big, bold letters, more cards for more players, your collection, your way. And if you look at the full definition of everything, they talk about not just having a full collection of characters, actual playable cards. It's a matter of how many total different versions of those characters as well do you have. That's the variety of making the collection. That's part of what the whole game origin was supposed to be, was everyone having a different collection of cards, not just having all of the types of cards, having, okay, you have this version of Zabu there. I didn't say Null. Okay. This version of Zabu, and somebody else, and only a certain percentage of people have it. And then you have this specific one for, Ant-Man, because it's, a much better version for you. There, one not in an image, just for you, good sir. So you get the idea though, right? Second Dinner wants us to be able to make ours more visually diverse, not just categorically diverse.
And that comes from even in Magic, I got to bring it up every podcast, but even
every
in Magic,
fucking podcast, man, God,
it's the same way. Like,
damn time.
You have reprints of cards with new art. You've got, promos that you get from, judge events or, opens, player tours, things like that. Like, so it's one of those things where when you sit down at a table and you pull out your deck and it's like, I'm using the same, 20% of cards that you're using, but I'm using this foiled out, judge promo version of this card, and you're using your basic, 8th edition, whatever that you're pulling out. Right. And it's that flex. It's that this is my deck. And I love that they brought that here. I mean, I do feel like I wish there was a little more variance within the foiling. I know that there is, but when it's on the table, a foil's a foil, right? So there's literally base, foil, ink, gold. Like the different foil nuances don't matter. And then even with your effects, really it's is it crackle or not? Because when it's on the board, crackle's apparently the only thing you can really see. Maybe the one that goes in front of the card a little bit, but anyway, but I love that they took the time to do a lot of that. We got the frame colors and things like that, and hopefully, again, Second Dinner, hopefully you're listening and you'll let us choose what frame color we want, because that would be amazing, even after the fact of upgrading it. So yeah, I like it. I like the variance, like you're saying. It's not just the variance when we talk about the art, but it's every piece and aspect of the way the card looks, what's included there. They're giving us this new premium art as well. So, I can't wait to see what this is going to look like over time. And maybe with the new system, maybe I'll go get that Venomized White Queen with my tokens, because I don't need as many tokens.
That is
or the new Venom that just dropped that looks pretty cool. I never really wanted to spend my tokens on it, but now that I have an avenue to where there's a week or two I won't have to spend a single token to get that new card, maybe I go and get some of those. So we'll see.
Yeah, maybe I'll get that Thanos, even though I love my baby Thanos right now. I really do. The premium, version of Thanos. There's a couple of good ones, and some new ones projected to come as well, like Nova and Ant-Man and a couple of others like that.
Nova's there.
Actually, Nova's out.
there.
Yeah, I was going to say Nova's out. But there's other ones I know that they've listed and also have been data mined, which you can look at Snap.fan. What else can you see on Snap.fan at the moment? Oh, look at that information about OTAs that just recently happened yesterday too, which have some quick discussion points on them. So first off, for those who have not seen or heard, depending on your education, we had some adjustments to several big name cards. And I love most of these. Number one, the Doom bots were changed. I know. And it's a contention point between us. Dr. Doom was nerfed lightly by having the Doom bots, not Dr. Doom himself, but the Doom bots reduced from a 6.5 down to a 6.4, just because Dr. Doom is so incredibly played right now. One of the highest play rate cards, highest win rate cards right now. And they decided to just take him down just a tad by reducing down his Doom bots and having the lore of him still historically be that Doom should be stronger than his Doom bots, but almost as strong. Why don't you like this?
I mean, yes, the lore and things like that make sense, but here's the thing. The Doom bots, Doom was never a problem for me, right? It's one of those things where, like, yes, you can like Sandman into Doom, whatever, or wave into Doom, and that helps you win matches. But I don't feel like, and again, it's a feeling, I get that, but I don't feel like Doom has ever felt like a problem when it comes to Snap. So one of their pieces that they said is just because he's getting played a lot, but he gets played a lot because he's one of the first Series 3 cards that you go, man, this card is so busted. And you open them pretty early and you want to use him because he seems like he's so busted, but he's not that busted because he's spreading his power. Only in certain decks is that going to be like, bam, I hit Doom and he feels amazing, right? Because there's so many cards on a 6-drop that are just going to instantly win you a lane. So I don't know. I never really felt like Doom was a problem compared to some of these meta-defining cards that have become a problem. So changing it down one, sure, whatever. But at the same time, I just don't feel like that was necessarily needed. But there's definitely going to be some lanes now that Doom cannot win you. With Silk being out there as a 5, and maybe, again, that's another maybe thing they looked at. With the Spider-Man lockdown that they have now, right? Doombot's not going to win that lane anymore because Spider-Man is a 5. So I definitely think that that's probably something they looked at, and the reason why they went with the Doombot coming down one, because now they've adjusted some other cards being 5 power there. But I don't know. I don't really like the change. I don't think it was needed, and that's the reason why I don't like the change so much. I don't feel like there was people everywhere going, Doom's a problem, you need to change him. So,
well, I disagree. Because I think the thing about Doom is your argument of he's one of the Series 3 cards and he's so busted and everybody uses him because of that reason. That's not why they use him. They use him because he puts out 15 power for 6 cost.
I'm saying
that
at
he
the
spreads
time,
it out, but it's
at the time he's not, but he feels at the time when you're getting into Series 3, he feels very busted until you start to see the synergistic cards that are out there, the decks that are out there, and then Doom quickly kind of just goes down. Like, right now he's one of the... I don't think he goes down.
He's one of the most highest played cards in tournament scene right now.
That's because of his ability to spread. Why? But that's because he's in all the Lockjaw decks. Right. He's in all of
why
the
is
Jubilee
this nerf why is this nerf any different than Stature and Black Bolt? They're still a busted combo and they're still a high performing deck. But the whole point of the OTA is to reduce the allure of a card enough to drop down its play rate just a tad. Is that one point of the Doombot going to make or break certain lanes? The percentage of time in which it will decide a win or a loss is probably pretty low, but it's enough that people say, well, now I'm only getting 13 power out of him versus 15 power out of him. And maybe I'm going to switch up my decks a little bit and just lower his play rate a tad. It doesn't change his effectiveness that dramatically, but it does change its appearance Very, very much so. And I think that that's the whole point of this OTA, is to make people say, hey, look, back off. He's still good. He's still going to do the function he's going to do, because literally the adjustment right after it is proof of something that could happen to Dr. Doom again as well, because they're looking at the full scope of the game. They're looking at getting you to play this card less and getting you to play this card more to balance the meta. They just want people to back the fuck off Dr. Doom a bit because everybody's getting way too wet over him. That's not what they want. They want people to remember that there are other options, you know, like what happened to Red Skull. Red Skull went from a 515 with +2 to a 514 with +2 to a 512 with +1. And now they're bringing him back to a 514 +2 because of the adjustments they made to Shuri. And now they're switching it back again because it's still a competitive deck to a degree, but it's not as competitive since the adjustment of Shuri, which, to be completely honest, with this specific change, I am really excited. I am so excited for this change of bringing Red Skull back to 514. I think
we're going to have another Shuri resurgence issue going on, because you still have what is it, armor into Sauron, into Shuri, into Red Skull, into, you know, Taskmaster or whatever.
That's one lane. That's one lane, right?
Yeah,
but it's going to be forecastable. It's going to be blockable. It's going to be Shang-Chi-able, armor or not. But you know, I launched it at the beginning of the month. My Shuri is back deck with Red Skull at 512, and people are hitting infinite with that deck, and has still an incredibly high win rate. And now you just made the highest card higher because it's a Sauron deck. Like, I personally am absolutely excited to reinvest back into this deck and get myself to infinite with this deck, because you know me, I've been doing 95 different things. I haven't climbed the way I have. I'm in my 90s. I just haven't made the final climb. I'm going to be trying this with this Red Skull now to see if that puts me over the top too. But I love that the OTAs are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, which is shift the meta just a tad. Like, they see Red Skull play is still far too down. So, you know what? Let's put him back to where he was and see how it feels, because we were scared with the old version of Shuri and this version of Red Skull, but now we have the new version of Shuri. Let's see how this version of Red Skull handles it. Is Sauron going to get increased play because of this? 1000% he will, because he deserves it, in my opinion.
Zero.
In this deck, he deserves it. Enchantress as well.
Yeah, it's either that or you're going to go back to, I mean, he'll get more play, because it's either you Sauron to get rid of it completely, or turn 6, right? You do other stuff, and then turn 6, you 0 Red Skull. It was pre-Sauron, pre-Shuri is what you would do with them. You know, the deck's going to make a resurgence. There's the only thing
but not to the level it was.
Right. But
no way.
Correct. Like, the biggest thing is that it lost was the ability to Shuri on a different lane and put him behind a Cosmo. That was kind of the thing that made the deck way too busted and way too hard to deal with. Now you're in a world where you just play armor and Shuri on the same lane with Red Skull, and then they have to predict where you're putting Taskmaster. So yes, there is something you can do. You've got, you know, potentially you've got something like an arrow, but they can play Red Skull plus a 1-drop, or they can play Taskmaster plus a 1-drop, and now your arrow doesn't matter. So, you know, we'll see. I think the deck will be a problem again pretty soon. But maybe the bounce decks, maybe the high Evo decks, maybe they're just too good against that now with what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
it's real easy in Evo to go over the top of that or compete with it. Better yet. And same thing with bounce, like Kitty Pryde Angela right now, the Kitty Pryde Angela Bishop, that lane you get into the 30s with easily. Like there's deck, definitely competition.
Both of these decks need to be touched pretty soon. One is like the Hulk needs to be touched. Like we said with the high Evo, right? You gotta mess with the Hulk. You gotta mess with,
not for a while, not yet, but they're looking at it. They did talk about that. They did announce publicly.
I'm just saying
they are looking at it post the summer break. For those who have not heard, it has been confirmed. They are looking at different versions for High Evolutionary for very specific cards in the High Evolutionary set, but they will not do it and not look into it specifically come July, which means they will not adjust it in July either. because it takes adjustment. It takes testing. They broke that all down. If you haven't seen it, go to the team answers. They talk about that whole process and system as well for how many months they adjust a card and how many weeks of play testing, how many hours that they go into. They talk about that in there. And he made it very clear that it's on the list. It'll be looked at post the July break, which means they're going to play test it for a couple of weeks, and then they'll announce it and implement the changes. So I wouldn't expect it to be touched until like actually live changes for high evolutionary cards until August. So come to terms with it, people. Learn how to go around it.
Yeah, I have worries around it just because right now you have that deck is so good. The bounce deck can beat it, but that bounce deck is also very, very good. So it's likely that the bounce deck's going to get changed before High Evo does. And if they do that, then High Evo is just going to be the best deck. So I'm a little worried of like how you balance your rock, paper, scissors right now, which you have like a Sandman ramp, whatever deck beats a bounce deck. So you have a good rock, paper, scissors going on right now. The problem is nobody's playing rock. Nobody's playing Sandman right now.
Yes, but they're all playing Spock right now. It's rock, play, but
that's
a different reference.
Yeah, I know. It'll be interesting just to see what's going to happen with them, if it's going to be 2 months, 3 months before we get a change to High Evo. I get it. Also, it's a brand new card. They will touch cards. They will touch problematic cards, but it's one of those things that the adjustments that they'll have to make have to be very calculated, because they're also your Series 1 cards, like we've talked about before. So they have to be the High Evo, most likely have to be the High Evo effects rather than the base of the card. So
agreed.
We'll see.
100% agreed.
So Nimrod.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one. I've seen some people upset about this one. Because
I know
it's destroying their Cerebro 5 decks. But I like this one extra power because I do feel like we talked about this before. The Doom bots, the 5 power Doom bots weren't necessarily always winning games, and Nimrod is a worse Doom when you destroy him and he just goes into 2 lanes, but you don't get the 3rd lane power. So I like that they're putting him up +1. You run him with Shuri or something like that. Now he's a 12. It's going to give you that extra little bit. So I like this change. I don't think it's going to make a ton of people go, oh, let's go back to Nimrod. I think if he was a 4-drop, I think he'd be amazing and busted. But as a 5-drop, he's just in this weird spot where like you usually only get to kill him once on turn 6, whether it's Destroyer, Venom or something like that. Yes, there are ways of getting them to die twice on turn 6. I did that last month with winning the title, but it's definitely one of those things where I like this change. I think it's a great change just to see if they can push Nimrod a little bit more than where he's at right now with the numbers.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's just, bringing life to the season pass card just a tad, give him a little zhuzh. It is not, in my opinion, a giant Galactus, mega play that now Galactus is broken again. Like this is to help balance that deck very much so, because he's a good option for a Galactus deck. And for a destroy deck, like you said, that combo of getting him into it and getting him destroyed early on, I think we start seeing, especially next season, I think Nimrod's value at 6 will start to shine a little bit more. So let those cards kind of come to be a bit, and then I think Nimrod really truly comes out of his shell. And then lastly, big change with Nick Fury, absolutely huge change, and I think is an incredibly impactful change.
Absolutely.
He went from a 5/7 to a 4/5 with the exact same ability.
Yeah, I like this. It's weird in a way. It's weird in a way because and I actually talked about this maybe the last podcast or maybe Wednesday Night Snap. I can't remember, but we talked about this a little bit.
It's all a blur.
If you look at the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right, you have Agent 13 on 1, you've got Maria Hill on 2, you've got Coulson on 3, and then you had Nick Fury on 5. And I mentioned that what they need is one more S.H.I.E.L.D. agent at 4, kind of helping your curve. And what they ended up doing is moving Nick Fury down to the 4 slot, because the fact was, when it really came down to it, your Nick Fury on 5 was paired with Dino. And what you were doing is Nick Fury on 5, fill your hand, play Dino on 6. And now you're getting in a world where I can play him on 4, I can still play Dino on 5, and have a card I can use that Nick Fury gave me. It also gives you an extra turn to look at the cards. Like I feel like when he was coming down on 5, your whole game plan was already in your head. You already had your 6-drop in your hand. You kind of already knew what you were going to do. Then you got these extra 6-drops and you were just like, well, I've already played this entire game this way. So these 3 new 6-drops, unless I got something just like crazy good, I didn't need. You know what I mean? Like it just felt kind of weird. When he got dropped, you never really looked at the other cards. And as a 5/7, he just always felt like he was like 1 power less than what you want to be playing on 5 for some reason. Again, 5/7 was fine in stats, but it always felt like he just wasn't a strong enough 5 play to play as a card. So I love this change because it gives you 2 turns to look at your 6s. It still gives you that Dino, a card within there, and or just another good 5-drop to be able to utilize those 6s afterwards.
Yeah, I am a big fan of this change. I love the ramp possibility with him as well. I love the Quinjet possibility with him as well. I mean, Nick Fury, in my opinion, his stock just quadrupled because of all of the cost reduction cards that exist in the game right now. Also, he is going to be someone to reckon with because of the mixture of variety and the amount of different reduction and ramp possibilities that are very relevant right now in the game. I think this is a huge revival to that archetype just by making him 4. He could have been a 4/3 and been just as revolutionary in my head, because the ability to get him down on 4 and have those following 2 turns to take advantage of it, as well as you have the ability to get him down on 3, just put down a Zabu combo. Like, I am theory crafting with Nick out of all of these more than anybody else right now. And who knows, maybe he even becomes a mild counter to Spider Pig, because now you're just clogging your hand with 6-cost cards. So Spider Ham's massive brand new effect maybe gets a little bit of a cushioning because of Nick Fury, which, by the way, they did adjust the pig finally as well. They switched him from being a 4/0 to a 0/0 because all of the interactions with him at 4/0 were getting completely fucked up. They were just like, here, we're going to get you reduced down with Zabu. And then if you get repigged, you got Zabu reduced again. Like, it happened to me on stream. I got hit. It was turn 1. The opponent's Spider Ham hit my Infinite on an Elysium game. And it immediately went down to a 5. He got hit again. He went down to a 3. And then he got hit a 3rd time and he came down to a 120.
And
immediately free played pig.
Because you had Zabu on the field, and it thought it was a 4,
Zabu,
so it was giving it crazy reduction
each time. It was absolutely broken. And but it was those types of interactions that were happening, and it just makes a hell of a lot of sense. That the pig itself, the base of it, it's a 0/0 that moves up to whatever the power and cost is of that card. Not kind of moves up and kind of moves down, and then it's 3 cards, and some interactions happen and don't. It just removes it, and then on the removal aspect of it as well, they got rid of Krakoa. And they said, hey, remember that thing that allowed us to like mess with your deck for, turn 5? Yeah, no, you guys don't like that. Okay, we'll get rid of it.
I know there was so much hate. Like, here's the thing. When it was the featured location, I get it. Seeing this every other game was annoying as all get out. But with it going to like the level of ego and not really popping up that much, I didn't really mind it being in the game. I know some people just don't like it though. It's ruining your turn 5, but like, ego and some other stuff is worse.
Loved it, but I loved it as a featured location. I hated it in the rotation, and I'll keep preaching this to the heavens. Okay?
I mean, I guess if you knew what you were doing,
awful locations should be featured locations. They should not be in rotation. So something like Krakoa, we were building brood decks. We were building ebony maw decks because then you're trying to play into Krakoa and reduce your negative output because of how the randomness could work. You're playing ramp decks where it's only going to play one card, but not a card that would be a negative thing. Okay, it pulled your Black Panther. Okay, put that shit anywhere. That's fine. So it wasn't necessarily something really negative because you could build a deck, which is what the purpose of featured at hot locations is to do, is to say, hey, maybe you should switch up from playing Galactus every goddamn day. You should play instead something that plays into Krakoa or into Great Web or into Ant Maze, or, build a deck for that. As a featured location, I'm totally about that life. But when it does pop up, whether it's in a tournament scene, whether it's on ladder, something that controls your cards for you, strategically turn 5 is especially turn 5 is such an important turn in particular that they got rid of the other one. I forget what it was. That was only open for turn 5.
Yeah. I don't like I think that's my difference. The limitation and the reason it was, Milano, right?
Milano.
So that's it. Milano. That's the one where I get it. Only
Milano,
being just like I'm not a fan of miniaturized lab, but it's one of those things where it's fine. It's a fine card, a fine location, whatever it can be there. But I don't like it, but it's fine to be there. Krakoa was kind of the same thing. I'm not a fan of all right, turn 5 it moves it, but at the same time, if it's only showing up 1% of the time, like Ego or whatever or less, then I'm fine with it. But it's a big thing to the community because I know this was a very decisive card for the community. A lot of people are location to the community. So it's fine that they removed it. Again, it does show it shows that Second Dinner is listening, and the fact that this is not, this is the 4th location or the 3rd location that they've literally taken out of the game and said, hey, we'll go back and look at this. We'll decide what we're going to do in the future, Plunder's Castle and some of the other ones. So I'm fine with them taking it out, but at the same time, if it would have been left in at the low rate of 1% or whatever that it shows up, I also would have been okay with it. So it is what it is.
Last little thing I forgot to shout out to with the Nick Fury side of things. I love that they specifically also told us that they waited to do this one because of the fact that he had Secret Invasion come out this week. And it's we're going to feature him this week by making his adjustment. So it's a small little detail like that they love to put those synergies on. They try to release certain seasons and certain cards at certain times, and they're aware of that because they're that connected with the Marvel universe right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of connection, good sir, how can people connect with us this Saturday?
Yeah, so this Saturday we have our big open. So the Snap.fan Open, we run this once a month, and there's a $600 prize pool. So that's going to be split up between the top 8. It's one of the largest prize pools for the open community. So this is not invite only or anything like this. This is anybody. If you want to participate, all you got to do is you can either go to Snap.fan, find the article, go to the link, or Community Gaming. You can go over there, find the Snap.fan events, or it should be right on the front page somewhere in there, and sign up. Go click it. It's free. It costs nothing to participate, with an upside of maybe winning a lot of money. So, go over there, click the link, join up to the tournament. It will start tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. That is start time. So make sure you're in there. You're checked in, because you need to be checked in before start time. And we'll be hanging out on stream over on the Snap.fan Twitch. So we'll be, doing the whole thing. We will try to showcase as many games as we can. There's 8 rounds of Swiss. Based on those 8 rounds of Swiss, we'll cut to a top 8, and then we'll do the top 8. So we're there pretty much all day. So come hang out with us. Whether you're participating, you just want to see some fun gameplay, come let us know.
I think it's going to be a really good time, to say the absolute minimum. We've got some great casters that are going to come on down. We've got lots of top-end gameplay, and I'm very curious to see how many of the new cards that have come out this month, as well as this most recent group of OTAs, who ends up coming out on top. Is High Evolutionary Lockjaw going to be the deck that takes everything down? Is it going to be Bounce? Is it going to be a brand new deck that comes on out? Is it going to be a hybrid? Is it going to be one that we all know way too well? Either way, we'll all find out together, and I think it's going to be an absolute boatload of fun. So head on over to Snap.fan, take a look at the article, which has the link right there, big blue bold letters, register here, and the instructions down below on how to do so. Very simple. And then come enjoy your Saturday with us over at Snap.fan. So as always, Mr. Default Dan, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I greatly appreciate all of this fun conversation looking at the Spotlight caches. This has been a really fun podcast. Really fun podcast to kind of dive deeper into all of this. And oh man, I cannot wait for this to go live, because I truly feel it's going to be a revolutionary week for Marvel Snap. So for those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as ItsGuestGaming. That's Default Dan. Thank you guys so much for listening once again to this episode of the Snapback Podcast, where you snap and we snap back. Default Dan, say goodbye, good sir.
Talk to you guys later.
Or at least Saturday, because we want them to come.
We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
There you go. If they're listening on Friday, okay, you just.
If not, we'll catch you next week, and then you'll find us out. Yeah,
Yeah, just find us.